The power of forgiveness, from tragedy to triumph. Welcome everyone to this extraordinary journey we're about to embark on together. Today we're diving deep into a subject that touches the very core of our humanity: forgiveness. But not just any forgiveness. We're talking about the kind of forgiveness that defies logic, that challenges our deepest instincts, and that has the power to transform lives in ways we never thought possible. I have the incredible privilege of sharing insights from my recent interview with Dr. Jocelyn Mull, a woman whose story will shake you to your core and then lift you to new heights of understanding and compassion. Dr. Mull isn't just an author or a speaker. She's a living testament to the extraordinary power of the human spirit and the healing force of love. Her journey from unimaginable tragedy to becoming a beacon of hope and forgiveness is nothing short of miraculous. Imagine, if you will, a courtroom. The air is thick with tension, emotions running high. A mother stands before the judge, facing the young man who murdered her only child. The room falls silent, waiting for her impact statement. But what comes next defies all expectations. In a voice barely above a whisper, she utters three words that would change everything: I forgive you. This isn't a scene from a movie, folks. This is the real-life story of Dr. Jocelyn Mull, a woman who chose love in the face of devastating loss. Her son was killed in a senseless act of violence. A victim of a first-degree murder, caught in the crossfire of an attempted murder on someone else. The perpetrator, a young man, was sentenced to 75 years to life without parole. For 20 long years, Dr. Mull grappled with the weight of this loss, her faith tested, her heart broken. But in that courtroom, during a resentencing hearing, something extraordinary happened. As Dr. Mull opened her mouth to speak, those three powerful words emerged: I forgive you. The judge, stunned, asked her to repeat herself. And in that moment, Dr. Mull didn't just speak to the judge or the young man who took her son's life. She spoke to the entire courtroom, to the young man's family, to anyone who would listen. She forgave. Now, I can almost hear the thoughts racing through your minds. How is this possible? How can anyone forgive such a heinous act? These are the questions that Dr. Mull's story forces us to confront. And they're the questions that led her to write her powerful book, Forgive, It Takes Love to Win. Let's pause for a moment and consider the cost of unforgiveness. How many of us carry around grudges, big or small, that weigh us down? How often do we let past hurts dictate our present and future? The truth is, unforgiveness is a heavy burden. It's like carrying around a backpack full of rocks, getting heavier with each step we take. Dr. Mull discovered that unforgiveness was more than just an emotional state. It was affecting her physically. She found herself battling illness. Her body knotted with tension and stress. It was then that she realized the profound truth. Forgiveness isn't just a spiritual act. It's a crucial component of our overall well-being. But here's the thing about forgiveness. It's not a one-time event. It's a journey, a daily choice to let go and move forward. For Dr. Mull, this journey involved diving deep into her faith, wrestling with God's command to forgive, and ultimately finding strength in obedience to this divine principle. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but you don't understand. What happened to me is unforgivable. And you're right, I don't know your specific pain or circumstances, but what Dr. Mull's story teaches us is that forgiveness isn't about minimizing the wrong done to us. It's not about saying it was okay or that it didn't matter. Forgiveness is about freeing ourselves from the prison of bitterness and reclaiming our power to shape our own lives. Dr. Mull's journey led her to a profound realization. We can't overcome evil with evil. Holding on to anger, nurturing a desire for revenge, these things don't hurt the person who wronged us. They hurt us. They keep us trapped in a cycle of pain and bitterness. But here's where it gets really interesting. Dr. Mull didn't just forgive in her heart. She took action. She advocated for the release of the young man who had taken her son's life. Can you imagine the strength that takes to not only forgive, but to actively work towards the freedom of the person who caused you such immense pain? This is where we see the true power of forgiveness. It's not just about letting go. It's about transforming pain into purpose. Dr. Mull took her tragedy and turned it into a mission to spread the message of forgiveness and healing. Now, let's be clear. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean erasing the past or pretending it didn't happen. Dr. Mull will always miss her son. The pain of his loss will always be a part of her story. But through forgiveness,
She found a way to honor his memory by living a life of love and compassion. One of the most powerful aspects of Dr. Mull's story is how she dealt with her own trauma. She openly shares about her struggle with PTSD, the shock of seeing her son covered in blood, the nightmares and flashbacks that haunted her. But instead of letting this trauma define her, she used it as a catalyst for growth and healing. Dr. Mull emphasizes the importance of facing our triggers head on. She sought deliverance, understanding that true healing requires us to confront our pain rather than run from it. This is a crucial lesson for all of us. How often do we try to bury our pain, to push it down and pretend it's not there? But as Dr. Mull discovered, it's only by facing our trauma that we can truly begin to heal. Another powerful aspect of Dr. Mull's journey is how she learned to navigate life after such a devastating loss. She talks about the disappointment of people who said they would be there for her but disappeared. This is a common experience for many who go through tragedy, the realization that not everyone can handle our pain, that some people will walk away when things get tough. But instead of becoming bitter, Dr. Mull turned to her faith. She found comfort in the belief that God had a bottle for her tears and a book for her story. This imagery is powerful. The idea that our pain is not wasted, that every tear we cry is precious and accounted for. Now, let's talk about the practical aspects of forgiveness. Dr. Mull doesn't sugarcoat it. Forgiveness is hard work. It requires us to confront our own anger, our desire for justice or revenge. It asks us to see the humanity in those who have hurt us, even when it seems impossible. For Dr. Mull, this meant learning about the life of the young man who killed her son. She read about his struggles, his difficult childhood, the circumstances that led him to that fateful day. And in doing so, she found compassion. This doesn't excuse his actions, but it allowed Dr. Mull to see him as a human being, not just as the person who took her son's life. This is a challenging concept for many of us. It's easy to demonize those who hurt us, to see them as purely evil or undeserving of compassion. But Dr. Mull's story challenges us to look deeper, to recognize the brokenness in others even as we grapple with our own pain. One of the most profound insights from Dr. Mull's journey is the connection between forgiveness and faith. She speaks of forgiveness as an act of obedience to God, a way of aligning ourselves with divine love. But even if you're not religious, there's a universal truth here. Forgiveness is an act of love, not just for others, but for ourselves. Think about it. When we hold on to unforgiveness, who suffers the most? It's not the person who wronged us. It's us. We're the ones carrying that burden, feeling that pain day after day. Forgiveness then becomes an act of self-love, a way of freeing ourselves from the prison of bitterness and resentment. Dr. Mull's story also highlights the ripple effect of forgiveness. When she forgave the young man in that courtroom, it wasn't just her life that changed. His family, witnessing this act of grace, found healing too. The entire courtroom was transformed by this unexpected act of love. This is the power of forgiveness. It has the potential to heal not just individuals, but entire communities. It breaks cycles of violence and retribution. It opens up possibilities for reconciliation and growth that we might never have imagined possible. But let's be real for a moment. Forgiveness isn't a magic wand that instantly makes everything better. Dr. Mull is candid about the ongoing nature of her journey. There are still difficult days, moments when the pain of loss feels fresh. But she's found that forgiveness gives her the strength to face these moments, to continue moving forward, even when it's hard. So, what can we learn from Dr. Mull's extraordinary journey? How can we apply these lessons of forgiveness in our own lives? First, we need to recognize that forgiveness is a choice. It's not something that just happens to us. It's something we actively decide to do, often over and over again. It's okay if it doesn't come easily or immediately. The important thing is that we make the choice to start the journey. Second, forgiveness requires us to look inward. It asks us to examine our own hearts, to confront our pain and anger head on. Now, this isn't easy, but it's necessary. As Dr. Mull discovered, true healing can only begin when we're willing to face our trauma and triggers. Third, forgiveness is about freeing ourselves, not excusing the actions of others. When we forgive, we're not saying that what happened was okay. We're saying that we refuse to let it control our lives any longer. We're choosing to write a new chapter, one where we are no longer defined by what was done to us. Fourth, forgiveness can be a pathway to purpose. Dr. Mull took her pain and transformed it into a mission to help others. She wrote a book. She shares her story. She advocates for healing and reconciliation. How might your journey of forgiveness open up new possibilities in your life? Finally, and perhaps most importantly, forgiveness is an act of love. It's love for ourselves, choosing to free ourselves from the burden of bitterness. It's love for others, seeing their humanity even when it's difficult. And for those who share Dr. Mull's faith, it's an expression of love for God, an act of obedience and trust in divine wisdom. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Some of you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but you don't know what I've been through. You don't know the pain I've experienced. And you're absolutely right, I don't. But here's what I do know. Holding on to that pain, that anger, that bitterness, it's not serving you. It's not punishing the person who hurt you. It's punishing you. Imagine for a moment that you're holding a hot coal in your hand. You're holding it because you want to throw it at someone who hurt you. But who's getting burned while you hold on to it? You are. That's what unforgiveness is like. We think we're punishing the other person, but we're the ones suffering. Dr. Mull's story challenges us to let go of that hot coal, not for the sake of the person who hurt us, but for our own sake, for the sake of our own healing, our own peace, our own future. But let's be clear, forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation is always possible or even advisable. It doesn't mean putting yourself in harm's way or allowing abusive behavior to continue. Forgiveness is about your heart, your healing, your freedom. It's not about giving someone else permission to hurt you again. Now, I want to share a personal anecdote that illustrates the power of forgiveness in a different context. A few years ago, I was involved in a business deal that went south. My partner, someone I had trusted implicitly, betrayed that trust in a way that cost me not just money, but my reputation in certain circles. I was angry. I was hurt. I wanted revenge. For months, I stewed in my anger. I plotted ways to get back at this person, to make them feel the pain they had caused me. But you know what? The only person suffering was me. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't focus on my work. My relationships were suffering because I was so consumed by this betrayal. It wasn't until I heard a talk similar to this one that I realized I had a choice. I could continue to let this person's actions control my life, or I could choose to forgive and move on. It wasn't easy. It didn't happen overnight. But slowly, I began to let go. I chose to forgive, not because what they did was okay, but because I deserve peace. And you know what happened as I let go of that anger, as I chose forgiveness, new opportunities started to open up. I found the energy and focus to start a new venture, one that has been more successful than anything I had done before. The act of forgiveness freed me to move forward, to create, to grow. Now, I'm not saying my experience is equivalent to what Dr. Mull went through. The magnitude of her loss and the depth of her forgiveness are on a whole different level. But the principle is the same. Forgiveness frees us. It allows us to reclaim our power to write a new story. So as we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge. Think about an area in your life where unforgiveness has taken root. It might be something big like what Dr. Mull faced, or it might be something that seems small in comparison. Whatever it is, I want you to consider taking the first step towards forgiveness. This doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out right now. It doesn't mean you'll wake up tomorrow and everything will be perfect. But it does mean making a choice to begin the journey of letting go, of freeing yourself from the weight of bitterness and resentment. Remember, as Dr. Mull's powerful book title reminds us, forgive, it takes love to win. Love for yourself, love for others, love for life itself. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. So here's my call to action for you. First, acknowledge your pain. Don't try to minimize it or push it away. Recognize the hurt you've experienced and allow yourself to feel it. Second, make a conscious decision to start the journey of forgiveness. This might mean saying out loud, I choose to forgive, even if you don't feel it yet. Third, seek support. Whether it's through therapy, a support group, or confiding in a trusted friend, don't try to walk this journey alone. Fourth, practice self-compassion. Forgiveness is a process, and it's okay if it takes time. Be patient with yourself. Finally, look for ways to transform your pain into purpose. How can your experience, like Dr. Mull's, become a source of healing and hope for others? As you leave here today, I want you to ask yourself, what might your life look like if you embrace the power of forgiveness? How might it transform not just your own heart, but the world around you? The journey starts with a single step, a single choice. Are you ready to take that step today? Remember, forgiveness isn't about forgetting or excusing. It's about freeing yourself to live fully, to love deeply, and to make a difference in this world. It's about reclaiming your power and writing a new story, a story of resilience, of growth, of triumph over tragedy. Dr. Jocelyn Mull's journey from devastating loss to becoming a beacon of forgiveness and hope is a testament to the incredible strength of the human spirit. Her story challenges us to look beyond our pain, to find compassion even in the face of unimaginable hurt, and to choose love over bitterness. As you go from here, carry with you the power of those three words: I forgive you. They have the potential to change not just your life, but the lives of those around you. They have the power to break cycles of hurt and create ripples of healing that extend far beyond what we can see or imagine. So, I leave you with this final thought. Forgiveness isn't just a gift you give to others. It's the most powerful gift you can give yourself. It's the key that unlocks the door to your own freedom, your own healing, your own transformation. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the heart of forgiveness. May Dr. Jocelyn Mull's story inspire you to embrace the transformative power of forgiveness in your own life. Remember, it takes love to win, and that love starts with you. Go forth and forgive, not because it's easy, but because it's the path to true freedom and lasting peace. The world is waiting for the healing that only you can bring through your choice to forgive. Are you ready to answer that call?